might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because
Station are we on?
clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy.
We are here at the studio, Radio St. George, 100.3, St. George, Utah. Happy to have Ruben Garcia with me today with Healthy Relationships. Welcome, Ruben.
Buenas tardes, hermano. How are you?
Buenos tardes, hermano. And he's teaching me some Spanish, and appreciate that. This is Kelly Kendall talking healthy relationships, and today we're going to be talking about the fatherhood education program that we're involved with throughout the state of Utah. And Ruben is a fatherhood educator as myself for Utah State University, and of course I teach here at Dixie State adjunct in the communications department, and love the students. So we're going to be talking about fatherhood. So Ruben, how long have you been doing fatherhood education here in southern Utah?
Wow, it'll be 2 years this coming May. It's gone by so quick.
Yeah. What a path your life has taken to be able to do this great work, and including we go into the jails. We're going to talk about that, going into Purgatory Correctional Facility in Kane County also, and Iron County, Beaver County, and Garfield County. We're teaching in the jail. So
We're staying busy, aren't we?
yeah, very busy. In fact, we're hardly able to keep up. In fact, we're hiring a new person to join us as well.
That would be great.
Which will be wonderful. We'll keep them busy. So let's just focus today on some of the curriculum. There's a bunch to choose from. We have Love and Logic, Fathering with Love and Logic. We have Home Run Dads. We have 24/7 Dads and Inside Out Dads. Let's start with Love and Logic first. What do you think about what we're doing with this Fathering with Love and Logic? What does that look like to you as far as helping fathers?
What it looks most like to me, Kelly, is relationships. I know, speaking for myself, for about 8 years, I was blowing it as a father, not really engaged emotionally with my sons, with my children. So Love and Logic is just a great opportunity for fathers to try some different strategies, techniques, whatever you like to refer to them as, with their kids, so they can connect with them and create that relationship that maybe is lacking just a little bit.
So Love and Logic is all about increasing the relationship and avoiding confrontations and negativity and arguing and backtalk and begging and those kinds of things. What has been your experience so far with dads? Because dads generally, they kind of like to be the drill sergeant in the home, and sometimes the mothers refer to maybe be a little more helicopter type parenting. And so to go from being a drill sergeant to fathering with love and logic, giving choices, that's going to be a difficult task, don't you think?
Giving choices, Kelly, but including empathy, which I think is foreign to a lot of fathers, to a lot of parents. And that empathy just is so powerful. If you can just walk up to your son, to your daughter, and throw your arms around them and just share with them how much you love them, how excited you are to be their dad or their mother, and just talk to them about whatever's going on in their lives. But having that empathy of just to look at them in the eye and let them know, man, I love you so much.
Yeah, love. It's all about love, isn't it? Sometimes we have to have a little tough love, and when we start this approach of giving choices, we go from what many fathers have been doing with the drill sergeant, go to bed, get out of bed, eat your food, stop fighting, get your bike off the lawn, all those different things too.
My way or the highway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So going to, or from that to the choices, like giving them a choice, let's just use the bike on the lawn. Can we use that one?
Sure.
So your children have left their bike on the lawn, right? Yeah, they have a nice bike, and the sprinklers come on, and somebody might steal it.
Bike, skateboard.
Yeah, whatever it is. And so, what does that look like for a love and logic dad to give them a choice versus demanding and coming in? Hey, I spent 10 times I've told you to go get that bike or skateboard off the lawn. What would be the fatherhood approach for this?
Well, with the love and logic, the approach is, as you mentioned, to give them some choices. So, they leave their bike, they leave their skateboard, whatever it is, out there, out in the lawn, outside, and you just look at them in their eyes, straight in the eye, with just love, with a big smile on your face, right? And you just let them know, hey, we can either keep that bike in the garage or wherever it's designated to stay, or you can lose the privilege of using that bicycle or that skateboard for a period of time. And that's a choice. That's a choice that they'll usually make.
So what if they don't? What if they actually look at you? Let's just say it's you. You're the dad, and they look at you and say, "Dad, I want you to pick up my bike off the lawn. I don't want to do it. That's my choice."
So that wasn't one of the choices that I'd give them. So it's either you get that bike, you get that skateboard, and you take it and you put it away. Or the choice, or you will not be able to use that bicycle for the next 2 weeks. And I think what a lot of fathers, a lot of parents, a challenge that they face is a lot of those kids, they wear them down into submission, and a lot of times as parents we end up caving instead of just sticking to our gun and say, hey, this is a choice. You go pick up that bicycle. You physically go and put it and take it, put it in the garage, or you lose the privilege of riding it for 2 weeks, a week, whatever you decide, whatever the choice is.
So with the choice, actually, you wouldn't have said it that way, but some dads have said, "Hey, would you like to pick up your bike off the lawn, or would you like me to? If I do it, then I'm going to lock it up for about 2 weeks or a week, whatever the time appropriate is." And then they say, if you do it, then you can ride the bike tomorrow. It's your choice. What would you like to do?
Right.
In essence, that's what you're saying that you would
Right.
do. But I get that. So love and logic, that's kind of an interesting one that, there's a lot of different parts of love and logic. What about the one-liners? Do you have a favorite one-liner? So we teach and facilitate about using one-liners and having that ready, because sometimes we just react instead of having something in our mind that we have reviewed and memorized, and it's kind of our go-to. When you go to the doctor, they hit you on the knee and you have a reflex, right? Your foot comes flying up, and we just go back to that if we don't have a one-line or something. And then of course they say to go brain dead initially, right?
Right.
And number one. So what's your favorite one-liner? And let's talk about one-liners for a minute.
So I'd have to say my favorite one is "nice try." That seems to be able to work for just about any situation with your children. Is just look at them in the eye with a big smile and "nice try."
What if they say, "You don't love me, Dad"?
Oh, this is so sad. Nice try.
I'm going to go live somewhere else. This is like a prison.
So a good one for that is, "I'll love you wherever you live."
That's sounds like you've got them all memorized. Yeah.
Well, I think I should.
Those are excellent. Let's go on to the next curriculum. How about home run dads? The metaphor is baseball. You grew up playing baseball, didn't you?
Yes.
And so share your thoughts about that. The metaphor is, of course, talk about who's the coach, who's the kid. I mean, kids, what part do they play, and so on. Let's just share.
So the home run dad works with fathers and giving them, a lot of fathers I think have coached their sons or their daughters' soccer team, baseball team, what have you. But I'm not quite sure that they take that same kind of mentality, those same kind of strategies into their families. And so the home run dad teaches fathers actually to look at their family as a team, and the father is the coach, and his children are the players, and mom, I suppose, could be the assistant coach, and just treating that family as a team, as you would a baseball team or a soccer team.
So, as far as baseball, what if I don't like baseball, and but I do like, maybe I'm a musician and my kid's in band or something? How can you relate it that way?
Well, I believe the strategies are the same. I mean, you can take anything that your family might have an interest in. Band, I mean, anything. I can think of several things where there is a mentor, a coach that helps develop whether it's a person's voice or their ability to play guitar, and that person there is there to help teach and mentor them, just like, in my view, as a baseball team or a soccer team.
Excellent, thank you. So that's a good one. How do you compare the two, Fathering with Love and Logic and Home Run Dads, in their approach?
Well, there are a lot of similarities, but I think the approach with Love and Logic is to try and use by practicing and experimenting with different, like you mentioned, the one-liners. And so there's different empathetic statements, one-liners, different strategies that a mother and or father can take and practice and see which works. And then you think about Home Run Dad, it's similar. I mean, practice baseball, practice trying to see what exactly it is that your children react to. And then, one of the things that I really enjoy about Love and Logic is giving our children some of the power, if you will, in their discipline. In other words, give them those choices, and it feels like they're a part of it, and there's more buy-in, if that makes sense. They feel like they've participated in whatever decisions, strategies that you've decided to try and implement.
Excellent, thank you. So, let's go on to the next one. So, I apologize, I had to reset something up here. So we're going to be talking about the rest of them, but I wanted to remind everybody, we're at Radio St. George 100.3 here on the Dixie State University campus, and wanted to just chat about fatherhood education. We have Ruben Garcia, fatherhood educator with Utah State University, and myself, Kelly Kendall, as a fatherhood educator as well. So let's talk about the next one, 24/7 Dad, which is similar in curriculum really to Inside Out Dad, but let's talk about that. What do you like about 24/7 Dad, and what is the approach there?
Yes, you are correct. Both those curricula are very, very similar. And what I enjoy the most about those two curriculum is the interaction that takes place. With the Love and Logic, there's a lot of videos that we show, a lot of videos that do the instruction. And with Home Run Dad, or excuse me, with the 24/7 Dad and the Inside Out Dad, there's a lot of interaction with the participants, just exploring. And what I enjoy the most is that when all of the fathers that are, and some mothers that come out and participate, when they start to share their thoughts, their experiences, the things that they're doing with their families, people start to really see, hey, you know what, this I'm not the only one that's going through these kinds of things, and they start to feel comfortable in sharing their experiences with their families, and that's what I really enjoy and appreciate most. I've learned so much from many of the participants in both of those programs, or both of those curriculum, the Inside Out Dad and the 24/7 Dad, because none of us know, at least I don't believe all of us know, or any of us know everything there is to know about parenting. And when we start to share, and when we start to collaborate and connect with each other, some real learning starts to occur. That's been my experience anyway.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you for sharing about that. So the Inside Out Dad curriculum is almost identical, really. There's some, different things because the focus on Inside Out Dad, where we teach incarcerated fathers at the jails, it's very enlightening because a majority of the fathers in jail, I'd say maybe 3/4 in most of my classes, and I take a little vote, a little raise of hands, they never had a dad. They never actually had a father in their home. In fact, 24 million children in America do not have a father in the home. And it's really a fatherhood crisis, what they're referring to, the fatherhood crisis. So whether it be a group of physicians that we have with 24/7 dad, or if it's a group of incarcerated fathers at one of the local jails that we work with, there's topics, some of the classes, for example, co-parenting, and I wanted to focus on that one for just a minute. What do you think is one of the top things in the co-parenting world and they're referring to when there's a divorce or when the parents are living separate, but also in the same home. Co-parenting is so important. Being on the same page, for example, right? And
Right.
supporting a lot of fathers when they're not in the home, they're banging heads, they're like butting heads all the time, and maybe even trash talking the mother, or trash talking the mother to the children. And either way, if the children hear that, or if the children are being told that, it's very painful for a couple of reasons. One is they're half of each parent, and
Right.
being forced to choose sides. But what are your thoughts about co-parenting in your experience and how that works with raising healthy children?
One word comes to mind, Kelly, and it's humility. If I can share just a quick kind of humorous story that just an experience I had, I think just last week, I asked some of the inmate participants that I was working with, I asked them a question, what's your favorite pie? What pie do you like the most? And a couple of them responded, I like apple pie, cherry pie, lemon pie.
Thanksgiving is a good time to ask
Yeah.
about pies, right?
It is. Interestingly enough, and then I asked the question to the group. I said, any of you ever experienced or tried humble pie? and believe it or not one of them had any idea what humble pie.
Did they ask you what it tastes like?
I know what it tastes like. So I believe that humility is so important for either parent, mother or father. I think a lot of times, we allow our selfishness, our arrogance, our egos to dictate how we act and how we are towards one another.
Sure.
And it doesn't work. And the inmate participants agree that it doesn't work. If you want to have a good, healthy, positive relationship, you got to figure out how to live on a side that includes charity and compassion and humility and empathy. And there's no room for those others, for the ego and the arrogance and the envy and the jealousy.
Sure. So if you have a father that comes to you and say they're struggling with disciplining their children, whether they're married or not, doesn't matter at this point. But if they were struggling because we come with different things from our culture, our family, and the way we discipline, for example, we get from how we were raised in our family and also our personality as well as our culture. And all of that kind of plays in on how we discipline. But most people get married and they never talk about disciplining their children and how that might look in the future. And then all of a sudden you have these, let's just say spanking, for example, or not, or how are we going to do time out, or maybe we don't do time out, or how's that going to work? So when you have a mom and a dad, how can the dad be more supportive? Because sometimes he tends to kind of be in my way or the highway, or this is the way we're going to do it, right?
Right.
Rules with the iron fist or whatever you want to call it. I found that in a lot of, the fathers that are out there, no matter what their world is, whether they're incarcerated or they're a physician or they're a businessman or a police officer, that it tends to, this is how we did it and this is how we're going to do it in this home. So how would you give advice to a father asking, how can I be more supportive in this process of discipline with the mother of my children?
Yeah, I recently had an object lesson presented, and it was very powerful. I think a father, if he could really just take a step back, and look at the mother of his children, and try to, and I know it's not an easy thing to do, but try to understand what it might be like to and we've all heard the phrase, right? Figure out a way to walk a mile in mom's shoes. Does that make sense?
A mile in her moccasins. That's kind of an old Indian
Right.
saying, right? So what does that look like? How would you suggest that, and maybe even use some of your own life experiences from really looking at how that might be? Because when we go off to work, she's alone. She's like a single mom, and she's left to do both mom and dad a lot of times. And then sometimes she'll actually say, and because out of frustration or because out of necessity, you wait till your dad gets home.
Right.
And then you do the good cop, bad cop, or whatever. So in your own experience, how would you share? What have you learned from that?
Well, so coming back to that word humility and figuring out a way, a lot of times when dad comes home from work or whatever it is he's been doing, it seems like more often than not, and I know I've experienced this, you've had a rough day, hard day, you're tired, you're maybe in not the greatest of a mood, and I ask a question often with some of the participants, what is it that you do that gets you in a happy mood, in that happy place? And is it something that you can do before you actually walk through that door? Can you make a conscious effort to leave that ego there at the doorstep, to leave that pride there at the doorstep, and just walk in? And again, as empathetic as you can, throw your arms around mom if you and mom are together. Throw your arms around your children, and just let them know, I'm so happy I'm home, so happy to be here with you. And just if you can just imagine how you might feel if someone did that with you, what you would feel and how you might react. Because I think a lot of times dad comes home and he's already in a somewhat of a foul mood, and maybe mom's had a bad day too, and it just doesn't take long for the attempts to communicate to just go south, and then it just goes from bad to worse.
In fact, Dr. Dave Schramm, a professor at Utah State University, has come up with, I'm not sure if he's quoting it, if he came up with it himself. It escapes me now, but the magic 9 minutes. He talked about 3 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes immediately after work, and 3 minutes at night before you go to bed. Think about how that works sometimes with children and a dad, right? So the first thing in the morning, get out of bed, you're going to be late for school, hurry up and eat your breakfast, hurry up, you have another sibling needs to use the bathroom, or, did you get your homework done? And there's all these orders, and that sometimes it doesn't go very well, especially if it's habitual, right? They're getting up late or something.
Right.
And then sometimes, so let's talk about after work, we come home, we're tired. And have you ever stepped on a Lego? You could walk in the door, kick off your shoes, and you step on a Lego.
Right.
And all the world's pressures end up coming out of your mouth, right? They all
Right.
come out, and you just destroy your child, their self-esteem for the next year because you stepped on the Lego, and then you feel bad about it.
Sounds like you've been there.
I've probably done that way too many times. But, yeah, Legos can be painful. And then what about nighttime, right?
Right.
Get back in your bed, get in the bathtub, turn off the TV. We're just doing all these, again, drill sergeant things and trying to get them to do what we want them to do instead of giving them the choice, like the love and logic,
Right.
For example, reading stories. What about reading stories to our children at night? That just seems like many times it's an old deal. People don't do that anymore. Why is that?
Oh man, I could probably think of a handful of reasons. Life is busy today, and as a parent, as parents, and we get distracted. We got so much going on. We've got these things going on, that thing going on.
What's the biggest distraction?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest ones, and one that's in the news quite a bit today is what's referred to as screen time.
Yeah, cell phones. Oh
Right.
my goodness, it's distracting us so bad. You keep going.
You know, I heard this several years ago, and it's really true. You know, our jobs, our hobbies, our outside interests. You know, they really have no eternal value, but the souls of our kids do.
Mm.
And as
Wow, that's
parents,
a powerful statement.
we have such a short window of time to mold the lives of our children. And I just think, you know, a lot of parents just take it lightly, and not intentionally. I just think they just, I think, I think for a lot of parents out there, one of the best gifts that they can give to themselves and to their children is to come join us in one of our courses. Come and share their thoughts, their experiences, and I'm sure they're going to take away some things and some information that maybe they hadn't dawned on them before, because you know we get busy, we get distracted, and
Let's go back to the screen time for just a minute.
Sure.
So you think about this. There's a thing called digital dementia. It's a new medical term, right? Our brains shrink the more screen time. There's some research that shows that the average teenager in America spends 10 hours of screen time. And I don't even know if that counts in school, because starting in kindergarten or preschool, they're using tablets, they're using computers.
Right.
And so you add that all up. I mean, that is a lot of screen time. What about riding bikes? Didn't you used to ride your bike when you were little?
Yeah. What about riding bikes and playing catch,
Going
and just
hiking,
running around?
Yeah. So the video game thing is, it's not any. We're not talking negative about anything anybody's doing, but there needs to be limited screen time. What about dinner time? Do you have in practice at your home, or have you heard about families where they have a cell phone basket,
Right.
and they have to put all the cell phones in the basket, and they actually talk. They actually look at each other in the eye and they talk instead of texting, looking at YouTube videos or whatever. What do you think about that?
You know, I think it's a great idea, but it's a challenge. I had an experience with my family recently, and my children are older. I was at Disneyland recently with the love of my life and our two sons and a daughter-in-law. And prior to going to Disneyland, I sent them all a text message. Screen time, right? I sent them all a text message.
Oh man!
And made the suggestion of putting away the cell phones, putting away the iPads while we were all together there. And it was difficult. It was difficult for me as well. It was just difficult because it's just something that so many of us have habituated. And we really have to be intentional about something like that. You know, putting your cell phones, in a basket or whatever. So that, but it's so dang tempting, right?
Yeah, Dr. Sham was down here in St. George just recently, and he was at a restaurant, and he took actually he was in, I think San Diego. He took his family down there for a conference.
Right.
And he showed me two pictures. And one of the pictures, I think you might have been there, but he showed us the pictures of two families sitting at the table next to them. One was a father and a son, and the son was sitting there eating his food while the dad was on his cell phone the entire time. And he said it was like 40 minutes.
Wow.
And then the next family came and sat at that table. Everyone, he showed me the picture, every child and the mom and dad were on their cell phone. They didn't talk. And they were just sitting there scrolling, and maybe, I think even he said they laughed to themselves, like there's just no communication. One of the things is, I have to be honest, irritating to me is when I call one of my children or anybody, you call anybody and they don't answer the phone and they text you back, what do you want? I'm like, just answer your phone. What's the deal with that?
True. Yeah. It's
Texting.
interesting. It's interesting what this technology is doing to us, doing to our children.
So we just have, thank you so much. We have Ruben Garcia, Utah State Fatherhood Education, with us here, and appreciate you being with us. We've been talking about the curriculum we teach. You can go to healthyrelationshipsutah.org. There's classes throughout the community. There's the different ones, Home Run Dads, Fathering with Love and Logic, 24/7 Dads, and of course in the jails we teach Inside Out Dads. So any last thoughts real quick, just a few seconds left, about the importance of fatherhood in the lives of our children.
Well, it's such an important thing. I know that for myself, I didn't have a huge emotional connection with my father for most of my adult life. And it's so important because even today at the age of 62, it's something that I crave. It's something that that's important to me. And so, if I could just say, if any of you fathers that might be listening, or even any of your children, reach out to us. Come on and join us. It's fun. We have a good time, but it's also educational, and we'd love to have you. And Kelly, thank you so much for your leadership, your friendship, and your mentorship. I appreciate you.
Thank
you for having me.
You're so kind. It's great to do this together. Again, talking about fatherhood education, Kelly Kendall and Ruben Garcia. Radio St. George 100.3. Thanks for joining us today.
How are you?